What's up, guys? Wade here from Tables, Ladders, and Bumps to review All In 2024 at Wembley Stadium. This is the last year at Wembley Stadium until 2026. Next year, they are going to Texas, which I'm super excited for because I will be going to that for sure. I'm going to kind of cover how I felt about for the show in general, and then I'm gonna go through what I thought of each match, give them my star rating, and yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys thought in the comments below. And also, please like and subscribe. We're covering tons of wrestling content here on this channel, and we'd love to have you guys be a part of the family here at Tables, Ladders, and Bumps. And I'm going to be doing this review with the best WWE belt in history, the Planet's Champion belt that Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson, uh, had just because, well, one, it's the only belt I have, and I think it's the coolest one. But also, I thought, man, what a way for Bryan Danielson to kind of start his swan song. Overall, All In was a great show. The pre-show was all right. There was one match that I liked on it, Ishii and Willow versus Stokely and Chris Statlander. That was a really fun match. The rest of the pre-card matches, yeah, they were fine. They were just to get people onto the card, which is totally fine. I'm happy for those people to be able to wrestle at Wembley. I mean, they must have had at least 20 other people. Yeah, because I think it was 8-on-8 for one of the tag matches. It was wild. And the only really important thing from the pre-match was actually Jamie Hayter coming back. Saraya was doing her thing, basically complaining that she wasn't getting a Wembley moment, and she won the title last year at Wembley, saying that she is the best British female wrestler ever. And then Jamie Hayter comes out there to basically kick Saraya's butt along with all of Saraya's family and friends. I have to say, Jamie Hayter has the best intro music, in my opinion, in wrestling. I get so hyped for that. Uh, Yeah, I don't think there's many people wrestling right now that actually I like Pax a lot too, but I still like Jamie Hayter's a little better. Yeah, it just hits different. I have seen people complaining saying that it should have been on the main card. I would have been cool with that. It was so close to the actual show starting. I don't think it was that big of a deal because almost everyone was kind of at the stadium at that point. I think it was maybe 10 minutes before the main card started. So yeah, I'm fine with that, but it was a really, really cool moment, and I'm excited to see her uh, get involved in the women's division. I was expecting her to come back in with Britt Baker, who she was aligned with before, uh, based on the Britt Baker match that I'm gonna get into later. I'm kind of glad that Jamie Hayter's on her own and not going to be involved with Britt Baker, it looks like. So yeah, I she's a great option to go against Mariah May or Mercedes Moné as a legitimate challenge for either person. I'm assuming they're gonna wait a little bit and have her beat up on some other people on the roster before they have them do that, because you don't want to have her go in and lose right away, in my opinion. The opening match was the London Ladders match for the Trios title, which was the Patriarchy, Bang Bang Gang, House of Black versus Pac and the BCC. I thought this match was pretty good. It was really strange, the size of the ladders in the match. It really threw me out of it. think they were using 6-foot ladders, and they had a bunch of people who were over 6 feet tall in the match. I'm pretty sure WWE uses like 8 and then maybe 15 or 12 foot. There's obviously a big difference between the small and large ones. This was like 6 to it felt like 20 because 6 is so small. So, just it looked a little wonky once they had the large, uh, ladder at the end. It was taller than the belts. Some of that stuff was kind of weird and took me a little bit out of the match. Overall, the match was pretty solid. I have no issues with it. I liked I like everyone that was in the match. Christian Cage is epic as a heel. Um, uh, Basically, the patriarchy would have won if Christian wasn't so focused on him getting the glory, and that led to their demise. Uh, and I mean, we keep waiting for this Luchasaurus turn on Christian Cage. A lot of us thought we were getting it later on in the card was something I was going to talk about, but yeah, we're still waiting for it. I'm a huge Christian fan. I just feel like this is a story beat that's kind of been stretched a little bit too long, and I think that we need to kind of deal with this or have it resolved within the next few months because I feel like it's been over a year. Yeah, Pac and the BCC won the belts. Awesome to see Pac win. Uh, he was hurt last year, wasn't able to wrestle at Wembley. This year, there were rumors he was supposed to wrestle um, for these belts with the Death Triangle, aka the Lucha Bros, but they're apparently going to WWE. So he was about to get screwed out of it again. So they made a makeshift trio for him to get his moment. It's kind of weird though. I wish they would have explained this and maybe it was on Rampage or something that I missed. I don't think it was on Collision because I feel like I maybe they did talk about it on Collision and I zoned out. But I feel like this needs to be explained because last year at Blood and Guts, I believe, he turned on the BCC and sabotaged them. So them just joining a trio makes no sense at all. Um, I mean, Dynamite's the main show. They kind of need to address this on Dynamite, I feel. So let's see what they do with that. That's just a little issue I have with it. Overall, I gave this match 3.5 stars out of 5. Solid ladders match. I've just seen a lot of better ladders matches. So yeah, I couldn't give it that much higher of a score. They're cool spots, but again, I'm cool with Pac winning it. I was happy for him, but story wise was kind of weird to me. Next match was Tony Storm versus Mariah May. This was one of my favorite matches on the card. This is probably the best story on the card. They have been telling, I believe Mariah May has been on this roster for about uh what is it? 9 months now, and they've been telling this all about Eve's story the whole time. When I heard that this was going to be the story, I watched All About Eve. It's a great movie. I suggest watching it if you're someone that can't watch black and white movies. I mean, watch it anyways. It's a really good movie. I would suggest it if you cannot stand black and white movies, and probably not for you. But I mean, there's a lot of good black and white movies, so you should probably get on that, guys. Regardless, this was I was a little bit worried with it being second and right after a ladders match, but this crowd was hot as hell. Uh, Tony and Mariah were doing super stiff shots the whole time. There was drama out the ass in this match. I loved every single minute of it. Mariah May even slapped her own mother. You have the melodrama of Tony Storm contemplating using the shoe on Mariah May. She can't do it. Mariah May takes advantage of this and wins the match. This is the right result, but there were multiple times throughout this match that I felt, oh wow, they're actually gonna have Tony win this. So I'm giving this 4.5 stars. Fantastic match. Uh I was really close. I mean, I've been going back and forth between giving this 4.5 and 4.75 stars. It was a fantastic match. This story is awesome. I'm going to give it 4.75 just because of how good the story has been leading up to this. And they landed that plane. It's very difficult to do. Uh, I mean, I'm a huge WWE fan, and people talk about how WWE stories are far superior to AEW's. This is an example where AEW has done something that's blown out most of what WWE has done out of the water. Um, and people will say, "Oh, Bloodline story is great." There's a lot of lulls in the Bloodline story. This has been 9 months. That's fantastic, and I don't think you can really compare anything to the Bloodline. Really, it's kind of its own thing. It's been going on for 3 years, but this 9 month story, perfection, and you made a star out of someone people didn't know anything about. Um, really, Mariah May was kind of an unknown unless you're really into Stardom, which I am, but most people aren't really into Stardom. So she was a virtually unknown, goes in. The story gets to a point where it makes sense that she is going to get this title shot against her mentor. Has one of the, yeah, m- probably the most ruthless heel turn I've seen in a while. For sure, probably the best one we've seen from the women's side. Dakota Kai is like the only other one right off the top of my head in somewhat recent memory that was really good, but this blew that out of the water to me. Everything about this was fantastic. Yeah, you cannot do much better. And yeah, like I said, you made a star out of Mariah May. Few stories can say that they actually have made something out of a talent that no one really knew about in a 9 month time period where, I mean, you have Brian Danielson's possible last match ever. Obviously, that was gonna headline, but this, if you didn't have that match, I would have probably said this should have been the headlining match, in my opinion. It just had the best story. So yeah, 4.75 stars for me, 4 and 3/4. Great match. Next match, Jericho and Hook. I'm a huge Jericho fan, not a huge fan of the Learning Tree. He feels like he's been wrestling against Hook for as long as Brian May's been on the roster. Uh, Sometimes he does things that are funny and says things that are funny. His Hi Guys thing kind of just annoys me. I know that's the point of it. Hook, I'm whatever on. I think he's really talented. I He's got really good charisma and stuff you can't teach. I want to see him with Samoa Joe again. And yeah, he should have won this match. This belt, no one really cares about though. And yeah, I don't. Big Bill's really over now because of this. People hate Jericho, feel bad for Big Bill, want him to get out of the Jericho vortex. He has gotten more over in the Jericho vortex though than he was with Ricky Starks, in my opinion. So I don't know, maybe it's working for him, and it seems like Brian Keith is even more over. So I don't like the learning tree, but I do feel like the people in his group are mm, people are liking them even more. This did nothing for Hook. Yeah, this feud did nothing for Hook at all. And yeah, nothing for Shibata, nothing for Joe. Yeah, it's been a terrible feud overall. So yeah, I just want to see everyone go on their own way. I'd like for Jericho to, I don't know. This ain't it for me. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but I think he kind of needs a little bit of a break and make us want to see him again. but I don't think that's going to happen. Next match, Young Bucks, FTR, The Acclaimed. Right off the bat, I have to say I was pretty surprised that The Acclaimed were as over as they are. It seems like in the US, people have kind of soured on them a decent amount. I like The Acclaimed. A lot of people don't like Max Caster. I like Max Caster. What he does with his raps and everything, if you're going to keep them fresh, there's going to be sometimes that they don't hit, sometimes that they offend people. That's just kind of the nature of doing that as a gimmick. I don't think people understand how difficult it is to have that as a gimmick and not make people mad. I know he says stuff online that annoys people. I'm fine with it. He's playing a character. Maybe he is the way that he acts online. I just assumed to take it as part of his character. But yeah, I don't I like the Acclaimed. I'm not a huge fan of Daddy Ass's in-ring work right now, but he's over in like every building that he's in, and I like him involved with their team. I was surprised that the Acclaimed weren't the ones to take the pin. Uh, it I assume they were in the match to take the pin. I that's what I had been feeling like the whole time. But FTR were the ones to get pinned, which was shocking. We saw uh, once the Young Bucks won, the Grizzled Young Vets came out. It looked like to attack the Young Bucks, but they ended up attacking FTR. I'm really excited for that. I can't really tell you much I remember from this match other than Max Caster helping other teams do their finishers on the other teams. I thought that was pretty cool. That was kind of one of the only memorable things from this match. Um, but yeah, the Grizzly Young Vets coming out and looks like they're going to feud with FTR. They need them in this tag division, especially you're losing the Lucha Bros. They haven't been super active recently, but that was kind of a group you could always count on when they were healthy to liven up that division. With them gone, the FTR Acclaimed thing, I feel like Acclaim kind of need to turn heel, but Grizzled Young Vets, I'd I want to see them in AEW. I know they had wrestled a few one or two matches in AEW already. Um, I did learn about them from NXT when they were part of the Schism, which was a terrible faction, but they always had sick matches in NXT. I do know that they were huge in the British Indies. I wasn't watching that. I'm not gonna lie. So I've heard good things. I'm excited to see them be involved in this tag team division. They need it because this tag team division is not good right now. So that's one of the negatives I'm gonna have with the show. The tag team and trios divisions not they're cold right now. So yeah, those belts don't mean a ton because no one really cares about those divisions right now. So a lot of the others booking has been great this year, but those two divisions, the booking has been absolutely terrible. Next, the Casino Gauntlet match. Boy, this was amazing. I'm gonna go out there and say this. I know other people have been saying it. Casino Gauntlet match is much better than the Royal Rumble. I like the Royal Rumble. The issue is that you'll have so many people just kind of in the ring laying around and you see them laying around. At least in this match, when you have people laying around, it kind of can be out of TV and they're off out of the ring and stuff. It makes it a little bit more pleasing to the eyes. I like the idea that it can end at any time too. So number one can pin number two, and then number three doesn't even get a chance to go into this match. It makes you unsure of when this match is going to end. Where the Royal Rumble, you got what, 40 minutes or something from the people continuously coming in, and then okay, it's probably going to be 10 for the final two guys. A lot of times, oh, another 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Sometimes they'll do them right in concession, but generally the match is going to be about an hour, and you know that's how long it's going to be. This you have no idea. And they had awesome surprises in this. Zack Sabre Jr., recent G1 champ. Um, but they started off with Orange County doing a homage with his entrance to Mr. Bean, which is hilarious because a lot of American people refer to British people as looking like Mr. Bean. And Okada was number two. Great start. Okada goes to give him a hug, like the best friends thing, and then you see that Okada changes his face and starts beating Orange Cassidy's ass. Huge fan of that. Number three, I believe, Nigel McGuinness. I don't think he's wrestled in like 10 years, maybe. Maybe it's been longer. Maybe it's been less long. I don't know. Let me know how long the gap for him. I think someone said 13 years, but I could just be making that up in my head. He came back. I thought he looked great, especially for someone who hasn't wrestled in such a long time. He's in awesome shape. I like his style. I haven't seen a ton of his matches from Ring of Honor. I do know that he's a legend, but now that it looks like he's going to be back involved, I'm going to try to brush up on some of those matches for sure. Um, Hangman Adam Page comes in, kicks ass. And then I pop super hard for this in my house. Jeff Jarrett comes in to be the equalizer to Hangman Page, which is incredible. Jeff Jarrett, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I love this babyface run he's been having with Hangman Page, kind of being a catalyst for inspiring Bryan Danielson. He's he's epic. If you haven't watched the Jeff Jarrett feud with FTR from last year, you guys should watch it. It's epic. You have all the Planet Jarrett involved. Yeah, Karen Jarrett's feuding with one of the refs, Aubrey, and there's just so much that goes into that feud, and it's one of my favorite feuds since I've been watching AEW this past about year and a half. Um, but yeah, at one point, Jeff or Hangman, it looks like he's going to basically obliterate Karen Jarrett, gets hit in the head with the guitar. You had the debut of Ricochet. Um, I thought Ricochet looked great in this match. I'm a I feel like WWE kind of wasted him. I'm not the biggest fan of Ricochet's style. I mean, he's great, but WWE kind of uh like they signed him and then kind of put the what is it, the governor on the car that they do to make sure you don't go too fast. I feel like if you sign a guy like Ricochet, just let him go balls to the wall like how he's going. I feel like if Triple H signed someone like Ricochet right now, he probably would let him go a little bit crazier. But he has Dragon Lee on the roster, and Dragon Lee's been just like reappeared this last week and was gone for months, and we don't know what the hell was going on. So who knows? But yeah, this match was fantastic. Oh, Jericho Hook, I gave 3 stars, by the way, guys. FTR and the Young Bucks, I gave 3.5 stars. And then yes, this Casino Gauntlet match, the winner I would have not expected. You had Christian come out, he's limping, selling that first match. He basically gets laid out right away. I can't remember who beats him up, but then eventually he's kind of cleaning house. Luchasaurus's music hits, and it says Luchasaurus and not Kill Switch. So I thought we were getting the Luchasaurus turn here, but no. Luchasaurus helps him get the victory. He has a title shot. I think it's unless Bryan Danielson loses in a week or something, or at some super early show. But it looks like we're gonna get Christian versus Bryan Danielson. I know I'm probably not the only person who did this, but soon as Christian won. I started looking up to see if Bryan Danielson's father is alive. Unfortunately, he is not, so we know Christian's going to go in super hard to that on that stuff. I do think he's going to dive into being a deadbeat dad, having how bad of a father Bryan Danielson is, letting his kids sit ringside and seeing their father get beaten up in front of them and stuff. There's a lot of material there. I am intrigued for this feud. There's other people I would have wanted to see him wrestle more, like Darby, but I think we are going to get that match. Um, Shoot, I don't know if he's ever wrestled Ricochet, or he definitely isn't. I want to see Ricochet in AEW wrestle Bryan Danielson. I think that'd be a crazy match. Um, yeah, I mean those are some big. I mean hologram. I'd like to see that. Beast Mortos. There's a lot of cool people. Um, I'd love to see him uh wrestle. So I yeah, but it looks like Christian is the next feud. I gave this match 4.75 stars. I thought about giving it 5. The Christian winning it kind of took a quarter of a star off for me. Even though I'm a huge Christian fan, I do like to swerve with it. I just feel like there's a lot of other people I would have rather have win it. Even Luchasaurus, maybe. I don't know. Not to have the title shot, I guess. I don't know. Uh, I was going back and forth between 4 3/4 and 5 stars, but I think I'm gonna stick with 4 3/4. Uh, Almost a perfect style of match of that style. You cannot get much better than that. Next match, one of my favorites on the card as well. Yet MJF, the American champion, versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay had a I don't know, pretty cool Assassin's Creed entrance. I guess he's partnering with the new Assassin's Creed game that is coming out in, um, I think a month. Maybe it's a few weeks. I cannot remember. I don't really play Assassin's Creed. And then MJF had his awesome entrance where he basically comes in like Apollo Creed. Almost a perfect match. This is another match I was really close to giving 5 stars on. I don't. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, easily. I You have MJF, who is pretty much the best pure heel that you could have. In this moment, he's in the UK, just being super pro United States. You have Will Ospreay, a British guy in Wembley, uh, who's like huge babyface for the company right now. They had the dynamic set up perfectly. I mean, yeah, this was a great match. Not much to say bad about it. I love their first match that went an hour. This one was different. I liked it as much. Yeah, I have nothing negative to say about this match. Before the match, MJF had talked that his Dynamite Diamond ring was stolen, which for me, I felt like it was probably Daniel Garcia. Ended up, we're assuming it's Daniel Garcia because he gets involved to stop MJF from using basically brass knuckles on Will Ospreay. And Will Ospreay hits the Tiger Driver 91 to win the match. Oh, I know why I didn't give this 5 stars. We knew Will Ospreay was going to win, and yeah, I never felt like there was a doubt. There were some parts where I thought, "Oh wow, like are they really going to give this to MJF?" But I wasn't. It wasn't like the Tony Storm match where I felt like they were truly going to subvert my expectations, and that had a little more up in the air. I would have been shocked if they had Will Ospreay lose in Wembley with MJF playing such a heel. That would have, I mean, I would have probably like to see the response, but they weren't gonna do that. And the whole Tiger Driver thing has been built up for months, and we knew he was gonna win with that. So yeah, I kind of that's the thing that set it off. I think it's just story wise, it wasn't the best. Although I did like the build to this with MJF being, you mean, the American hero. But yeah, I just that was the only thing that kind of turned me off a little bit. But in ring is about as good as you can get of a match. So yeah, four and three quarters. Next match, Mercedes Moné versus Britt Baker. This is by far my least favorite match on the card. Mercedes Moné, since she's been in AEW, has had awesome matches. This is her only bad match. Um, I will say for Britt Baker, she did just come back not too long ago from she essentially had like a mini stroke and then was out for like almost a year. And so I give her a little bit of a pass for that. My main issue is I would have more sympathy if we didn't have all the MJF stuff in the background where she got suspended. Um, and it seems like unanimously everyone has said that this drama started from uh, her essentially complaining that MJF and Will Ospreay got an hour, uh, got to wrestle an hour at that Dynamite anniversary special. So, in my opinion, you had been gone for a while. You come back, you start talking crap about someone in the locker room in front of their fiance. It's gonna get back to the person. Whatever. It happens. People talk, say things. Sometimes I've said stuff in front of people I shouldn't have said stuff in front of. But if you're on a pay-per-view and you were suspended because you were basically talking crap about someone, we don't know everything that went on, but she was suspended, MJF was not. I assume that she's not as innocent as some people were making it out in this situation. But you have to follow those exact people you complained about getting an hour to wrestle, and they put on almost a 5-star match. I'm sure some people have given it 5 stars, but I bet you most people probably gave it 4.5 stars. And then you lay an absolute stinker after that. I got some issues with that. Again, I'm learning how to do pro wrestling. Britt Baker is way better than I'll probably ever be. But I'm just saying, as a someone who watches this and like I competed at a high level in amateur wrestling, if you're gonna talk trash and then you have to follow those people you talk trash at, you better not put on a match like she put on. And um to me it felt like it looked like Mercedes was kind of leading her the whole match, and I thought Mercedes was doing fine, but there was just no chemistry. It looked sloppy. She wasn't emoting. Britt wasn't really emoting. I'm not trying to pile on here, but um, I probably wouldn't be saying almost any of this if the other stuff didn't happen and then she wasn't following the people she talked trash about earlier. That's kind of where a lot of this stems for with me. Where I have a lot. She went through a huge health thing, but I'm gonna kind of take away some of that. Me putting on kids gloves when I talk about this match. If you're gonna be, I mean, kind of talking crap about people and starting issues in the locker room. So that's just how I feel. Um, if you disagree, you can let me know in the comments below. But I feel like that was a very bad look. They just had no chemistry this match. They had some cool spots, but the spots didn't make up for how discombobulated the match felt. I just felt flabbergasted during the match that this was going on. Um, I didn't want to see the Jericho Hook match at all. and I thought that match was significantly better. Um, Partially because of the ending with Taz getting involved that I forgot to mention earlier in my review. But still, that was a better match, and no one really wanted to see that match. This was just bad. And yeah, I gave it 1.75 stars, aka 1 3/4. I think that's being nice. It just wasn't good. Obviously, it wasn't like to the level of the Uso brothers at WrestleMania of a match, but it was bad in other ways. Next, the penultimate match, Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. This match we found out was cut short. Uh, it ended up almost being like a extended um, Jack Perry squash match of Darby Allin. Darby did some cool stuff. Both of them did cool stuff in there. You have, I mean, Jack Darby had thumbtacks super glued to his face, so he looked like Hellraiser, which was pretty cool, or Pinhead from Hellraiser. And but yeah, he got beat down most of the match, and yeah, it ended up he gets put in a body bag, dragged out uh to the coffin. He pops his head through like with the spikes on his face and everything. It was a pretty cool image. Gets kneed in the head, and then the coffin gets closed. Young Bucks come out, they put gasoline on him, act like they're gonna light him on fire. Sting comes out, which was cool. I was super pumped for that. But yeah, overall, it was a fine match, 3.5 stars. It was cut short. I'd like to see them run this match back at some point because they definitely have a way better match. Um, like easy. They could just do a better match on Dynamite on 20 minutes or something. Yeah, this was just they just didn't have enough time for all the stuff they were gonna do. And yeah, it hurt the match, but I have no real qualms with other than that they didn't give it enough time. Finally, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. Uh this is one of the best matches I've seen in my life. Bryan Danielson, pure babyface. I was rooting for him the whole time. I felt like he needed to win, and especially with Christian winning and it not being Hangman. Sorry. Um, I felt like there was a really, really good chance it was going to be Bryan Danielson, but he's one of those people I could see him actually retire at this point. So yeah, it did feel a bit up in the air. So many amazing spots. One of my favorites, and I believe Bryan Danielson's doing like the yes kicks to Swerve, basically powering up from this. Goes to do the psycho knee to Swerve, and Swerve just brushes it off. It was such a sick moment. Swerve does a is smashing Bryan Danielson's face in front of his kids at one point, and then you have Prince Nana just dancing right in front of his kids as Bryan Danielson's getting wrecked. Uh, it's so hard for me to even put into words how great this match was. My two favorite matches of the year are both Bryan Danielson matches. It's Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson versus Swerve. Swerve played the heel so well in this match. Um, man, I would have loved to be in the crowd for this. This made me, I'm fairly certain I'm going to Wrestle Dream now because I don't know how much longer Bryan Danielson's going to wrestle. But I have been looking up tickets. There's a good chance that I'm going to go to that match. Um, yeah, I have not actually seen him wrestle a singles match in person. So yeah, I'm not gonna let that go by me. So yeah, I need to see him wrestle. Uh, he's probably my favorite all-time wrestler. Yeah, he easily is. And I put him on my Mount Rushmore in our video we had last week. Um, One thing I will say, when Hangman came out, I got a little bit worried that they were gonna ruin the match, but it kind of affected the end, but not really because um, Brian hit like a few Psycho knees, Swerve kicks out, then Brian gets the like label lock and you adjust it and stuff, and that's how he wins. So I wouldn't say it directly led to. I mean, you could argue, but they kind of protected Swerve a little bit, but it wasn't egregious at all, and it would make sense that I mean he's was about to fatality Karen Jarrett earlier in the card. It would make sense that he'd be losing his shit, and if it looks like Swerve's gonna win, he's gonna come out there. So yeah, I was fine with that, and yeah, it was just perfect ending to a pay per view. I gave this match 5 stars. It's a perfect match. You cannot get any better. If I'm comparing, you had the WrestleMania main event this year where there was drama out the ass to Cody babyface. You have the Avengers come and help him out and stuff because it's Bullet Rules. Kind of WWE's way of. Again, I love that match too. I give that like 5 stars too. This was better though. I don't even think it's close in my opinion. In ring and this was just a lot better, and I again, for what that is, where you have a bunch of interference, you get the Avengers coming in, that's basically a perfect match of that sort. But just in general, um, stadium finale match can't get any better than this. I would have loved to be at this match. Um, yeah, but it's hard because the Danielson Osprey match easily was my match of the year. I'm gonna have to rewatch both. This one made me feel in a different way. Like I was doing the yes points at the end of the match. I was so into it, and I felt like something special that I had never felt just watching on TV in a match. Where like WrestleMania when I was there this year and seeing Cody win and everyone come out and all that stuff that was really really cool and such a cool moment and feeling there, but I wasn't even at this event and I felt like I was a part of it just because of how into it the crowd was and how into it I was. But as someone who's trying to learn how to wrestle, seeing Will Ospreay versus Brandon Danielson was like the actual wrestling skill and how they were telling that story in the ring was like it was like seeing the face of God or something. That was unreal. So uh easily number one and two matches of the year for me, and it's there's a big drop off after that. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Overall, All In this year was substantially better than last year. Um, there was one really bad match, to be honest, but overall, like everything else was basically what I have 3 stars for the Hook match and Jericho. And it was a fine match. Like it didn't go too long or anything. You need a match to go to the bathroom during, like if in a stadium show. So I was fine with that. I really hated the Mercedes and Britt match, but other than that, like everything was really 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 good. MJF, Osprey, fantastic. Tony Storm, Mariah May, absolute star making moment for Mariah May. And of course, ending the best way you can end a pay per view with Bryan Danielson winning the AEW world title for the first time. And it's leading to a swan song. So, yeah, I can't believe it's kind of towards the end of his career. He's my favorite. And yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this pay per view in the comments below.